Hi, this is Paolo, and today I want to talk to you about my acoustic pedalboard. This is the pedalboard that I use for all my acoustic gigs. It's the one that runs my loops and does so much more. So let me show you. I have a previous video where I talk about a previous version of this pedalboard. Alright, so today I'm gonna add this to my pedalboard. Let's see. Let's add some Velcro. That's too little. Now that can definitely reach there. Also gonna install this underneath so I can keep the iPad charged and don't have to rely on the battery of the iPad all the time. This should be the perfect cable so I can power this and power this at the same time. These two pedals are never on at the same time, so it shouldn't make too much of a problem with noise. I'm not that pedal sure, so I will settle for this solution at the moment. If it causes too much problem, I will fix it later. The cabling is not the tidiest. Everything that needs powering up powers up. I'm waiting for a patch cable to patch this into here. That's it. The main thing that has changed is that I've incorporated my audio interface into the pedalboard. And the reason is I want this pedalboard to be both the pedalboard for my guitar sounds
and be able to control my iPad and Loopy Pro, and also to be my mixing desk. The main reason why I did it is to have everything in one place and be able to pack up and set up really quickly. If you do this multiple days a week, that means being able to catch an earlier train to get home, and after a while that kind of makes the difference. But also in upgrading to this version of the pedalboard, I've added some extra functionality. So let's have a look at the signal chain for the guitar to begin with. So the guitar comes out of the guitar pickup, gets into the harmony singer pedal. That doesn't do anything to the guitar sound. From there, the guitar signal goes into the polytune. I know that the HX Stomp has a really good tuner, but I have an external tuner and I have the polytune. And that leaves me with like 3 switches to change sounds. Of course, the guitar signals from the polytune gets into the HX Stomp, and there is where I do the heavy lifting for the guitar sound. There's an acoustic IR in there, there's a preamp, there's my octave pedal, there's a phaser, there's compressor and volume boost for my solos. And if I want to even distortions, let me give you an example so I can... my phaser, my solo sound. I use this for pads. And if I want to, I can even go like this. And this, the octave. And of course, after the HX Stomp, the signal gets into the Focusrite. For my audio interface, I've chose the Focusrite 4i4. For the size, it packs a lot of functions. It sounds great. The main reason is because it has 4 physical inputs, 2 microphone inputs that I use for my mics, for mine, and usually for the singer that sings in my duo, another line input for my guitar, and another line input for my stomp. Of course, the Focusrite is class compliant, and that means that it works with my iPad. For portability, I think that the iPad is much better than a laptop to bring around for gigs, and that's why I've chosen Loopy Pro to do my loops. I might upgrade to the 4th generation of the same audio interface, just because that will allow me to control the functions like gain and output volume of the audio interface from an app on the iPad. That means that I don't have to bend down and do it from there. I've been looking for an audio interface that has the control on the top, but none of the ones that I've found either have the number of input and outputs that I need or are compatible with the iPad. Of course, I need 4 outputs, 2 outputs to get to the PA. It's either my speakers or the venue's PA where I am. And then I need 2 outputs for monitoring. It's usually either like or a floor monitor or in-ears, one for me, one for the singer. The main brain of the pedalboard is the MC8. The MC8 is absolutely fantastic. I've upgraded from my MC6. And having 2 extra switches makes the building of loops a bit faster. Sometimes having to bank up or bank down to reach a certain loop can make the construction of your song a bit slow. And when you're doing a performance, you don't want to bore your audience by taking ages in building your loops. What I do with the MC8 is that I have a very similar layout for all my banks and pages. If I bank up, I show you. As you can see, I have like 3 yellow loops. Those are my unaffected guitar loops. So if I can, like, we're gonna try 1, 2, 3. And then I have my stop and start button that stops and starts all the loops that are going at any time. My stop button is always in the same position. I don't really have to think about it, like to reach it. It's because a lot of the time I'm singing and I need to get there without thinking and without looking. One of the best features of Morningstar controllers is that you can sync one button for every page and every bank. So if I bank up, that stop. If I were to press play and bank down, this stays play. If I stop it again and I change page, that still stays stopped. And then I always have my drum loop up there. If I do this, any other loops that is not yellow has effects already applied to them. For my drum loops, I like to have compression. I have a plugin that enhances the low harmonics. Actually, I think it adds them with some synth trickery. Then I have a loop that has already modulation on it. I can show you. And then, because Loopy is so powerful, when I start my bass loop, Loopy tells the HX Stomp to turn on the octave pedal. And when I finish recording it, Loopy tells the HX Stomp to turn off the octaver. I can show you. Now the octaver is off. Then I have my pad loop that I use to add some ambient pad underneath. 1, 2, 3. Then if I go on to my next page, I have access to my vocal loops. I have access to another drum loop. I have access to the undo and redo function and the overdub. And if I go to my next bank, I have access to more sounds. For example, I can access my synth sounds. Or this one. My acoustic gigs are now not that acoustic anymore, but it's a lot of fun. Another big advantage of the MC8 is that it connects via Bluetooth to my iPad, and that means that I can program it from there. But that also means that Loopy Pro now can send messages back to the MC8 without me adding an extra cable. And that means that if I start a loop, play Pro. Now you can see that if I start the loop, the foot switch changes. Now it's telling me that if I press again, it's gonna stop. And now if I delete the loop from the iPad, it's gonna go back to stop. That means that the controller stays in sync with Loopy and I always know what is happening. Then I have my download expression pedal that at the moment just controls the delay level. So no delay, a lot of delay. The expression pedal is connected to the MC8 and sends control changes messages to the iPad. Then why the TC Helicon Harmony Singer? There's a lot of plugins that do harmonies for vocals. You can have Bliss voices and others. The main reason is that the Harmony Singer pedal does something that none of those plugins do. All those plugins can follow chords via MIDI, but they can't follow the guitar. I've tried to do the same using MIDI guitar. That doesn't track very well and it never really worked. So in the end, I decided to use Harmony Singer, that if you can only choose one key and one interval or like multiple intervals, you might get wrong notes if the songs you're playing as a chord that is not in the key, and that happens often. And even if all the chords in the song are from the same key center, sometimes a fixed interval doesn't play the right note over a certain chord, and that's why the harmony singer. If you're interested in knowing why a fixed interval is not always the best choice for harmonies, just let me know. I might make a video about it. Just write a comment in the section below. Here's how it works. That's still in G major, but if I say, let's say I'm gonna play something in B flat, it will work. So I don't have to set any key. The pedal just sees the chords that I'm playing and plays the correct harmony. Then I can choose how many harmonies I want. Like if I want one on top, one below, or like two on top or two below, all that. I can choose the level of the harmonies. Say, do that. I found that 11 is a good level for live performance for the harmonies, because you can hear the harmony filling up the sound, but the fact that they are digital is not that evident. It also has reverb in it. I don't really use it because there's fantastic AU reverbs from the iPad, and I really love them. But I really like the tone functionality. It already has some compression and some EQ, and I really like it. Now I'm going to show you how I power it. Sorry for the not tidy back of the pedal board. This is how it's powered. So the chock sole, output 1 and 2 power the HX Stomp. Output 3 powers the MC8. Output 4, I have a double cable that powers the tuner and the TC Helicon pedal. And then output 5 is my spare cable, the one that goes out and power the SPD1 kick. Then the audio interface and the iPad are powered by this. This is an Anker power supply. This is the cable. From here, there's a USB-C cable that gets into my USB-C hub. From the hub, I power the audio interface, and it powers the iPad as well. This is my main input, and this is connected to the chock sole, and it's connected to the USB-C power supply. This is a bit flimsy. I'm trying to find a solution to keep all inputs and outputs nice and tidy and solid. There's a good chance that I might upgrade the pedal board to a Temple Audio or something similar, so I can have all my ins and out nice and solid on the side. But when I started this pedal board, I wasn't thinking as much ahead, so it kind of slowly grew to what it is now. And of course, I'll put a link both to the USB hub and the power supply in the description below. They are affiliate links, so if you use them, you'll support the channel, so thank you. I'm also going to put a link to my Loopy Pro project if you want to have a look and try and see how it works. Unfortunately, it will not come with all the AU instrument or effects with it, but if you want to build something similar, it might help. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any question about my pedal board, about Loopy Pro or looping in general, just let me know in the comments below. If you fancy supporting the channel, there's a Buy Me a Coffee link, and that will be very appreciated. And as always, see you for the next one. Bye!